to the cloud. All right. Hey, what's going on? My name is Pierre, and I want to welcome you to the Pre-Eminent Sales Pro podcast, where we're helping you to discover the methods, the means, and the mindsets, the mechanisms to become a preeminent sales pro. What does it mean to be preeminent? Being preeminent means being top of mind. It means being not a commodity, but being a leader, to being able to have access to the best opportunities, being to have access to the best income levels, being able to have access to the right people, being able to have access to the right locations. And today, I have with me one of my most favorite people in the world, Moose Reed. How you doing,
What
Moose,
up,
man?
baby? What up? There, good to see you as always, man. I'm glad you told me what preeminent salesperson was because I was like, man, I can't even spell preeminent. I was like, son of a bitch.
I had I actually got this idea from Jay Abraham. He does the
Yeah.
strategy of preeminence. And I was like, one of the biggest problems I see in the space, especially when people go about the process of being a sales pro, especially with the new like the AI and the FTC thing coming out, is the fact that people will start looking at salespeople, whatever station they're in, as being a commodity. Like, oh, you're just another Toyota car or minivan, right? No,
Yep.
there are things that people do in our space that make them stand out. That when people think about sales or they think about growing businesses or revenue rockets, they think about certain kinds of people, and that's a predictable path to do that. That's why I created this show to find that out.
Man, you're so right, especially for anyone who's listening. If you're working in this world that me and Pierre have worked in for so long, right? This world of high ticket sales or online remote sales, where you're working for these small, tiny businesses, right? There's a lot of volatility in this industry, right? One of my
Mm-hmm.
favorite quotes that I've seen in the industry: "It's not what you know, it's not
Mm-hmm.
who you know, it's who knows you."
Yeah,
Right?
very good.
It's creating that preeminent aspect or creating that omnipresence aspect, right? And making sure that the entire market knows you so that you can have a fruitful career and a long lasting career. The market doesn't know you, you're destined for a big flop.
And if you don't know right now, Moose is definitely an epitome of that. Like,
I
and matter of fact, I'm going to
appreciate
give
that,
you
dude.
the opportunity. Like, please go ahead and tell people, for those who do not know who you are, who are like in a separate part of the galaxy somewhere, who don't know who you are. Like, go ahead and tell them. Go ahead and tell
Thanks,
them
man.
about yourself, my friend.
So my background's in building and scaling sales orgs. I've been in sales for, gosh, for the last 13 or 14 years now, since I was 18 years old.
Mhm.
I've worked in every industry imaginable. I started off my career in door-to-door sales, selling Cutco knives, where I was a top producer in 2012, selling $50,000 worth of kitchen knives in 5 weeks' time, right? I went
Wow.
from that to selling timeshare,
Mm,
which is the hardest sales industry I've ever been a part of. I
I've
worked
heard.
in timeshare with the intention of eventually getting a job on Wall Street, where I
Hmm.
worked for BlackRock, which is the world's
Oh,
largest
wow.
asset manager. They have $9 trillion of assets under management, right? To a company called Regis, where I was an area sales manager. It's a $4 billion sales org with 450 sales reps, to this world of high ticket sales, and where most businesses are doing under $24 million a year. Over the last 5 years since I've been in this industry, I've built out 150 different orgs. I've
Wow.
placed 3,000 salespeople. I've had salespeople that have made. I've had sales reps that I've interviewed while they are sitting on a toilet. Right. So I always say to everyone that I don't tell you my background so that to impress you. I tell you my background so that anything I talk to you about is going to be about the experiences that I've had. It's not based off sales theory. It's what I'm seeing in the marketplace.
Yep.
Currently, the sales director of a company called Spear Rocket Virtual
Mm,
Assistants. We're doing about we're doing about 600,000 a month right now in
wow.
volume. Last month, we onboarded 100 new clients, which could turn into about $1 million in production. We have a team of 6 outside sales reps, what you would consider closers, 4 inside sales reps, which you would consider setters. On hiring our fifth right now.
Mm.
Um, and man, it's a great offer and it's fun to be a part of.
So what we're looking at right here is we're looking at like Yoda style wisdom going off in this camp, man.
Man, I hope so, man. I just like to have fun and hang out, man. If we can do that, then I'm happy.
And that's something I want to talk to you about too, because as far as long as I've known you, my friend, like you have always had a positive disposition. You speak to people in an empowering way. You're always looking for ways to go out of your way to help other people. As a matter of fact, one of the things that I think that every person that knows your name knows you for is being a value adder to anywhere you go, right?
Yeah.
But like, I want to kind of go back a bit. So, this is like 14 years in the business, starting off with Cutco knives, right? Which is an interesting sale to say the least. What did you
Yeah.
do? Did you have like the little stand in the supermarket with the
I
knives and
did.
stuff? Or like,
I did not. I did not. And it's really funny, Pierre, because we do a lot of our marketing for Sphere Rocket through event
right,
marketing. We do
right.
that. We do that. Last week I was at an event who I met against a sales rep there
Uh,
who was selling Cutco knives. And
oh no.
I was like, I was in your shoes. I'm gonna buy the Big Daddy set. It's like, and I know that you made 50% commission on that. So right? So no, geez, my bad. I lost track. What was your question on that?
I was saying that you had like the little stand and stuff with the Cutco. You said you didn't do the
I
event. Did you
didn't
do
do the
door to door with
stand with
that or?
Cutco. No. Man, back then they used to tell everyone to sell knives to your friends and family.
Okay, like
My
network
family was
marketing.
in a situation, yeah, sort of network marketing style. My family was not in a position where they could afford $1,000 knife set, man. I had
Mm,
just left school. Um, uh, I'll try not to. I'll try to give you the short summary of it. But in 2008, we lost two houses. My family lost two houses. We lost two cars. I went from seeing
wow,
my family live a very lavish lifestyle growing up to finding them in a hotel when I left. Left for the Christmas vacation.
wow.
So I had to figure something out. Cutco was sort of the first opportunity that presented itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I ended up pulling receipts on people who had purchased Cutco in the last year. And then
Mm-hmm.
I started cold calling them and said, "Hey, I'm this college kid. I get scholarship credit just for showing up and sharpening your knives. Would you be down if I did that?" They were like, "Shit, yeah, sure."
What a cool frame.
And then
What
while
a
I was
cool
there, I
frame.
would be like, "Yo, you've got this knife, but you don't have this knife. Why not?" And they're like, "Man, this cute college kid, I'm gonna say no to him." You
Did you
know,
did you come up with that yourself, or did they tell you to say that?
it's something that they trained on, but something I did sort of come up with on my own was asking for the receipts of everyone who purchased in the last year. That was sort of
Ah,
unknown in the industry, you know?
I
So
see. I know,
yeah,
like let's see, the receipts of people who had bought Cutco before. Also, we
yeah, in
were
the
like
last year.
upselling in this case.
Correct. Upselling,
Wow,
cross-selling, right? And we just call them and give them hey, I'm coming by to sharpen your knives that you already have with us.
I
There's a
find
big
that.
there's a big lesson to be learned in that. And no matter
Yeah,
what you're selling, there's a big lesson to learn. Your current clients, it's 40% more likely that a current client will buy from you again than
exactly.
it is to acquire a new client.
Very much so. I was seeing a study about that on the internet when I was looking into upselling myself, and I was completely shocked at that statistic, at the idea that it's easier to get more out of a single client than it is to
Yep.
kind of go get another client, do the whole client acquisition kind of thing.
Yes.
Talk me through like upselling, because I think that a lot of people don't do that well. And I think that's an area that a lot of people kind of get stuck on, especially upselling and cross-selling as a sales rep, because I think that for you, like you don't necessarily just think of yourself as a sales rep for a particular company. You think of yourself as a sales rep with many different types of opportunities to kind of choose from, right? So like how do you do that well, like upselling and cross-selling, those kinds of things? Like what are some like the
Yeah.
maybe like top five tips you can give on that?
Yeah, good question, man. So first off, I'll start here, guys. If you're in high ticket sales, if you're selling whatever, I think a lot of sales reps focus on the conversion to prospect, and that's where a lot goes wrong, right?
Okay.
They're like, "Oh, I talked to 10 new people this week, and I gained three new customers or four
I,
new customers. Awesome, whatever, right?"
mhm,
And then they cut the relationship, and they that's the end. There's a beginning, which is at the beginning of the sales call, and there's
mhm,
an end, which is at the end of the transaction, and that's it,
mm,
right? If you start looking at relationships instead of clients or transactions, right? And you
mhm,
can build yourself a suite of services to start cross-selling that go in tandem with what you're selling them in the front
Mm-hmm.
end, right? Now all of a sudden you're going to make a lot more money, but also what we talked about in
Mm-hmm.
the first sentence, right? They're going to be what points you to the next opportunity. I hate to tell you,
Can you give me an
Pierre,
example
how
of
good of a
that? Like when you
salesperson.
say,
Yeah.
can you give me an example that when you say like developing the relationships and developing like a suite of products? Because I definitely never heard of that before.
Yeah. So I'll give you a sphere rockets in particular. Is that
Yes.
fair? Can I
Yes.
share my screen with you?
Yes.
Give me
Does it
two
let you
seconds.
share?
Yeah, it'll let me share. Give me 2 seconds. Let me
Okay,
pull it
cool.
up. So guys, I'll say this: when I got to Sphere Rocket, we were a high ticket offer. We would sell clients virtual assistants one time for $4,000. Right?
Mm,
That was it. There's so many different routes that we can take this, Pierre. But through sort of the offer restructure, when I became the sales director,
mm-hmm.
we changed it. Um, we changed it because we want to move to a recurring product,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So, first off, right, our bottom tier product is now $600 a month.
Okay.
Okay. For one virtual assistant, it costs $600 per month, which brings our bottom sale, our lowest transaction from $4,000 for a one-time recruitment fee to $7,200 per year. Okay.
That's awesome.
almost almost doubled the value per client in that first step, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
it's likely that once we get one virtual assistant going on board, right? As long as we keep that relationship and we're checking in, let's say somebody hires a virtual assistant
Mm-hmm.
to help them with social media management. Well,
Okay.
awesome. Once they have social media management rolling, it's likely that they are going to need an inside sales agent to help with the additional leads,
I see. I
right?
see.
So if we have
I
a
see.
relationship with this guy, now we can upgrade them into our accelerated product, which takes our purchase price from $7,200 a year to $13,200 a year. We've doubled the value of the client again by making a simple upgrade,
I see. I see.
right?
Because you're discovering more problems and then allocating more solutions or products or services for that. Here's a
Yep.
lesson for you guys, by the way. You know, if
Yep.
you're in an offer right now, one of the things you want to think about is like, what are the limits of the product or service that you're dealing with, right? You have an offer, you know, if there are challenges and things like that with the offer, there are other things that the the client needs. Think about what are the products or services you could think of that maybe you can partner with or talk with your influencer about as a means of creating more value because of the limits due to the solution you have. Please
You
continue.
ready? On this note, what if the
Uh-huh.
influencer, because this is where salespeople stop, dude. This is
Mm-hmm.
where salespeople stop. Go
Mm-hmm.
back to the influencer and they'll say, influencer, I have a great idea. What if we provided this as an additional service? Blah, blah, blah. Right? And
Mm-hmm.
what happens? The influencer says, yeah, good idea. Too expensive for me to think about. I just want to concentrate on scale. Right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, promise I'm going to get to this. But
Well, hey, go. Do you think, man?
when now, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've got our three-tier service. We're in touch with the clients every week. If I have additional services or a suite of additional services that I can go and become an affiliate to, when I am
Ah.
in the relationship with them, I'm like, hey, I think this would be a really good additional service. Dependent on my influencer or the owner of the business coming up with the solution to make
Mm-hmm.
more money. In fact, the affiliate relationship is much easier because they take on all the customer support, they take on the longevity of the relationship, right? But
Mm-hmm.
now I sold two yesterday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, hey, I would recommend Seamless IO, right? For
Mm.
the I won't go into the details about Seamless. For
I got
the
what you're saying.
bottleneck that you're facing, I would recommend Seamless. It's not something that we do, but let me send you over my link for Seamless. And they're like, fuck, that's a great solution.
Mm, mm. Let me ask you a question about that
Yeah,
because even as I'm thinking about it now, like it's exciting, but it kind of makes me nervous. So, like,
yeah.
how do you like? Because obviously you're working with someone else's leads and their lists and things like that. So, how do you do that without burning bridges? Like, offer those additional solutions and things like that. No, staying on
Yeah.
the up and up, doing right by the people you're with.
There's a lot of different routes, right?
Okay.
And so for the salesperson who's listening to this call, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, it goes into the situation that we just mentioned where if the business owner is unwilling to adapt, right, and
Mm-hmm.
make the adjustments to it,
Mm-hmm.
no problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now it's your relationship to manage, right?
Mm-hmm.
If all you're doing is managing the relationship and not crossing any boundaries, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with offering something that goes in tandem with the solution that you're already providing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at scale, this is the real question that you're asking. The business owner says, I love that idea, right? I
Mm-hmm.
want a piece of that as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, cool. Now you go from a salesperson to providing additional revenue streams for the company.
Mm-hmm.
You should start moving into a sales manager or sales director role,
I see.
right? And you can now create process to provide those additional services to the whole book of business.
Wow. You should write a book on that, bro.
Man, a lot of salespeople think I want to go to sales manager. That just means I have to train salespeople. That is the least valuable thing that I can be doing as a sales manager.
Let me ask you this, like, because obviously you've seen salespeople come and go. Like you said, you've been into like 130 different organizations and scaled bazillions of teams,
Yeah.
right? Like if you were to kind of like take like how when you first started selling, got into the high ticket space?
Well, I was 18 when I started in sales. I would consider it a high ticket. Even BlackRock was a lot more high ticket than the high ticket space, right?
High ticket to
I
high
would
ticket.
consider high ticket the remote sales industry. So I was 33 now. So I was 28.
Okay. So let's say you were taking an 18-year-old protege
Mm-hmm.
and you had 5 years to take him from who he is now, completely green, don't know anything that's going on, to being able to replicate some of the success you've had as of late. Where would you start and how would you got him?
The first place I would start them, I would say in something like Cutco, right? Or in
Hmm.
something in some type of setter role, right?
Okay.
Um, everyone wants to go into this closing role and make $30,000 a month, $40,000 a month, blah, 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 right? Where
Hmm.
most of it is bullshit, right?
Hmm.
I would rather take someone who's had the experience of getting kicked in the teeth, right?
Hmm.
Because this world is not easy, right?
Hmm.
Last month there were 5 different days where I worked 20 hours straight,
Yeah.
right? And if you think that the worst thing that could happen, Pierre, is you do land on the unicorn offer where you can make
Hmm.
20 grand a month working 10 hours a week because it's not sustainable,
Hmm.
right? When it collapses, now you think that that's how it's supposed to be, right?
Mm.
I am not interested in somebody's salesmanship, right?
Mm.
What
Okay.
I am what I am interested in is somebody's perseverance,
Ah.
right? If you're trying to get your first sales job, a lot of people say, how do I get a sales job with no experience and everybody wants experience? You create experience in the experience that you've had, right?
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Know what the hardest thing is that you've ever had to persevere through and build that into a story, right? When I got my first job selling timeshare,
Hmm.
I remember going to the VP at the time, right?
Mm.
And telling him the story of my parents. And I told him the story of how I made it onto the FSU football team,
Hmm.
right? It was a
Hmm.
story of perseverance. He's like, fuck, if you can do that, you can do this. Get in there, kid. You know what I mean?
Hmm. One of the things I'll say too is to that point is because this is not the first time I've heard that on this podcast. The idea of starting in a set of role. A lot of people have a very, very improper understanding about the power of being a setter, right?
Mhm.
Like I just saw I was just on my news feed, and there's a setter right now making 18K, right,
Yep.
as a setter. Now he's not doing any closing. The only thing he's doing is developing opportunities for a world-class team, and he's making 18K. Now, I mean, that's hands down on that. But here's something I also say about that, which is the fact that um when dealing with like coming into the space, a lot of people just they don't have the perception of what you are doing in sales is that you are providing value. Right now, here's the kicker. If you know that your goal is that you want to find a role, you want to get into sales or you're in sales and you're trying to look for your next role, one of the first things you want to do is to find out why is that somebody would not hire you. Okay. You know what the objections are, right? I'm young, I don't have any experience. I'm from a third world country. I have no whatever. Then one of the first things you want to do is like, okay, so how can I mitigate that risk for them? I
Mhm.
remember one time, I remember when you had placed me on an offer years ago, and I was doing inbound setup for a mod 1OR.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I was still relatively green back then, right?
Yeah.
But what ended up happening is that I had gotten in the door and had become so successful at it that I think like within 2 months or something like that, he had made me setter manager. And it was
Mhm.
all because of the fact that I had spent my time trying to figure out what other problems could I solve for that business owner. How can I make myself even more value? He saw the value, he said, hey, I want to give you the shot to do this. But a lot of people don't think about that. They only think about what they can get out of the deal instead of what they can actually provide. Absolutely.
You crushed that role too, and I get and Ahmad loved you, right, which was fantastic. But such a good concept of what else can you provide outside of dialing the phone? Because guys,
Exactly.
I had a oh my gosh, I had a sales rep who said this the other day.
Hmm.
I I was hiring for somebody,
Uh-huh.
right, and I asked one of my current sales team members, "What do you think about this guy?" Right,
Mm,
and the sales team member said, he is a great closer. He's great on the phones, but there's
mm,
going to come XYZ with this. Right.
mm.
And I said, well, the good news is anybody can be a great salesperson. Anybody can read through the pitch deck that I give them.
Yes.
That's not that much of a value.
Yes.
That XYZ is too much of a problem for me. I can find people to read through the pitch deck. I don't give a shit about
Was
that.
that
You
like
know
an
what I
attitude
mean?
thing or was it like a work ethic thing or?
Yeah, it was an
Mhm.
attitude thing.
Of course.
So that said, right, when I'm hiring for my outside sales team, right,
Hmm.
um, Pierre, I will say this, and nobody else that you'll have on your podcast will say this. This is where I'm
Here we
different than you
go.
are,
Dropping the
right?
fire.
I do not believe in sales talent.
Ah.
There is no such thing as sales talent. There's
Mm.
not. There's a difference in sales process, right? And alpha comes from stronger sales process, but outside of that, there's no difference in sales talent, right? So if that's
Yes.
true, I believe that true alpha comes from labor.
Mm.
Okay.
That's good.
So when I build out my outside sales team, my closing team, I don't
Mm.
look for the person who's like the best looking or the best on the phone. I don't give a shit. I don't believe in
Exactly.
it, right?
Work
I
ethic
look for the
and
guy
attitude.
who's been in a setting role for forever and he's
Hmm.
been kicked in the teeth. And he's like, yo, I'll come in and outwork everyone else on your team.
Exactly.
I just brought on a guy two uh 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago,
Hmm.
and he was stuck in a setter role
Hmm.
for 2 years. And the reason he
Okay.
was stuck in a setter role is because he was too nice and he was too friendly, and they were
Mm.
like, you're not hard
Not
headed
ready
enough
for
to be a
the, yeah.
closer.
Hmm.
That's all subjective. It's bullshit, right?
Exactly.
So he's like,
You're
yeah,
not
I
brutal
talked
enough.
to him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I talked to him. And he's like, yo, I will come in and I will outwork your entire outside sales team.
Come
Right.
on, man. What a claim.
So he comes in his first week. He's got no shows. He self sets 5 appointments. So far this month, I'm looking at the numbers right now. So far this month, he just took the number one spot just now.
Come on.
He's got 12 deals 17 days into the month so far. We
Come
call him
on,
Mr.
man.
One a day. He closes a
Mr. One a
deal
day.
every day. Mr. One a day out here.
Like him. I like that guy. Let me ask you this too. So,
Yeah.
so let's say, so we're still talking about like creating a predictable path to becoming a legend, a preeminent sales pro, right? So,
Yeah.
set a role, need the volume, need the perseverance, need to develop a solid work ethic, need to develop your communication skills. What's next?
What's next? I think I wouldn't say this is next. I would say
Mhm.
that this is sort of in tandem, right?
Like an extension of.
Hmm. Is constantly what you started the call with is providing value, right?
Mhm.
Not just to your prospects, right? But to your audience,
Mhm.
right? Um, Arnold Schwarzenegger has a really good quote, and he says, "Work your ass off, and
Mhm.
then celebrate working your ass off." Right?
That's good.
And I love that. The reason why it's important to celebrate working your ass off is because the majority of the marketplace will not work their ass off.
Mm.
Okay. So when you're celebrating, like it could be, I've made 100 dials today, right?
Ah,
Awesome. Most people did not
yes.
make 100 dials today.
Or
Most people would
ever.
be attracted to the fact that you made 100 dials today. But then
Yep.
guess what? Those 100 dials also turn into 5 set appointments, right?
Uh-huh.
So then I set 5 appointments. The majority of the market did not set 5 appointments, right?
Mm-hmm.
That turns into I closed 2 deals, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most people did not close the 2 deals. You know what I mean? So it's
Yep.
important to celebrate every step of the way, provide that value to your audience, provide that value to your prospects. What ends up happening is that leads to your next opportunity, right?
Ah,
Could it
okay.
be internally? Yeah, it could. Like, Joe Schmo, the business owner, might be like, man, Pierre, just like what happened with you at Amat's, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pierre providing so much value. I need to get him overseeing the team,
Mm-hmm.
right? It might be a prospect. I've had 3 people this week reach out to me and be like, Moose, I want to recruit you away from the sales that you're at. And I'm like, guys, I'm extremely loyal. I love it. And they're like, well, is there a certain dollar figure that would get you to move? And I'm like, probably not. You probably can't afford it, right? You know what I mean? But
Well, let
it's
me ask you
happening
this about that.
because of what I put into the marketplace. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Let me ask you this about that. So like, let's say a person is they're at their setter thing. Like how long should they be focusing on being in a setter before they start looking to, like, let's say a closer or a set to close kind of position?
Mm-hmm. How long? I think it's the wrong question.
Okay.
I'll answer it. I'll answer it logistically.
Okay.
Okay. If you are in a true setter role,
Mm-hmm.
what you should do is find how many closers there are in the org.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you can outset the amount of bandwidth that the closers have, they don't have a choice but to make you the closer.
Ah, that is
Okay.
clever. I like that.
Right. Last month, we went to
Such
nine,
a great thought.
9 events, right? I had a team of 3.5. I
Mm-hmm.
had to double from 3.5 to 6.5 from an outside sales perspective or a closer perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because of the amount of bookings that we had. We were
Mm-hmm.
taking on bookings faster than I could onboard new salespeople. So I had my Filipino VAs setters
Mm-hmm.
taking sales calls. Dude, an inside sales girl, her name is Mimi. She hardly speaks English. Mimi, if you're listening to this, I know your English is good. Sorry, I'm trying to exaggerate.
We still love you,
But she
Mimi.
did she did $30,000 in volume last month. She made 3 grand in commissions. She was like, holy shit. She was like, what just happened? But they're all familiar with the sales process. The sales process is simple, but
Mhm.
because we were overstat or overbooked, we had to filter somebody in,
Create something else in. Mm-hmm.
right?
I like that. That is really good. That is really good.
So, so that's the logical answer. I think where a lot of people go wrong is they expect it to be
That is so
like
good. I like
a
that.
6 month, right? Oh, I was a setter for 6 months, so I deserve to be
Yes.
closer. You don't deserve shit, guys. Nobody
Mm-hmm.
deserves shit. You deserve whatever the market tells you that you deserve and nothing more. I hate to say that, but the
Yep.
market's perception of what you deserve is the only thing that you deserve.
Key lesson there, guys. It's not about time, it's about experience.
Yep.
What did you succeed at? What did you create before you left? There's a saying called the impression of increase. Like no matter what role you in, relationship you're in, you should be leaving that relationship, that organization better than it was when you got there. So I wanted to ask you about that too, because like, you have built such an amazing network of like Raven fans, supporters, allies from across the country, around the world. Like how do you first initiate their relationship and then nurture it over time?
Oh, dude, really, really good question. How do I first initiate that relationship?
Hmm.
Man, I'll start here. Every opportunity that I've ever had
Hmm.
has always led me to my next opportunity.
Okay. Mm.
Okay.
Hmm.
Dude, as far back as Cutco,
Hmm.
right? The reason that I got a job at BlackRock is
Hmm.
because my best friend was selling Cutco,
Really?
right? And we went and sold Cutco together. We rigged the commission system by selling under the same account, right? Which is why we were able to be the number one producer in the world, right? Right.
So good.
Um, so every opportunity that I've always had has always led to the next one. You know that I had a background with coaching sales, right?
Right. That's how you and I met.
Um, and Mike was a relationship from high school, right? The owner
Oh,
of coaching sales, right?
seriously? High school?
In fact, I tell the story all the time where I think he won't confirm this, but I think he stole my girlfriend from me when we were in high school. Right?
Uh,
But then
oh.
while I was with coaching sales, right? Um, Dustin, who's the owner of Sphere Rocket,
Mm.
became a client at Sphere Rocket. And he tells the story all the time. There was a situation where something went wrong at Sphere
He
Rocket.
was a client with coaching sales.
Yep, yep,
Okay.
yep. And there was a situation where something went wrong, and it was out of my role to go in and fix the situation, right?
That's out your
But I
wheelhouse.
liked Justin and we had a good relationship. And I was like, yo, I'm going to do what I can to fix the situation. Right.
Mm.
Justin did not recruit me from coaching sales, dude. I got an opportunity just showing how it all connects, right? First salesperson that I ever placed in coaching sales ended up becoming the sales director for a company called Dodola Global Logistics, right?
Come
When
on,
she
man.
left the role as at Dodola, she recommended me to be a sales director for Dodola, right? So I went to go be sales director at Dodola, and while I was there, it was like watching paint dry, right?
Mm.
Sorry if they're listening to this, right? The
We
industry
still
was
love you
just so
guys.
used to, right? So Justin and I were always in touch. He would have me come to his events and sell for him. And
Mm.
then eventually he was like, yo, I'm tired of managing the sales guys that you built out. Can
Mm.
I pull you away for X
I
amount of
see.
income? Right. So it always led, right?
That's awesome,
It's not,
man.
it's a relationship business, guys. It's not a transaction business. It's a relationship
Yes.
business.
Okay, let me ask you this question because I don't think that people know how to properly enter and exit business relationships. So
Oh,
can you
good
speak to
point.
that?
Good point, dude. A lot of people in this industry look at it the wrong way, right?
Hmm.
They say things like, I'm going to talk on the enter side first, right?
Hmm.
I'm 1099, so I don't have to do huddles. I'm 1099, so I don't have to do any of the things that you want me to do outside of showing up and taking my calls.
Mm.
Like already that's creating friction that will create
Mm.
like this. There's no way for the relationship to progress from there.
Mm.
Most of these business owners have you as 1099 because they are a small business and they can't afford the taxes
W
and the
two
extra
things.
expense on the W2, right?
Hmm.
At Sphere Rocket, just this is a side combo, but at Sphere Rocket, we replaced our entire outside sales team. And
Hmm.
when we replaced them, everyone new into the org, our entire org is W2 now.
Mm.
We did not want anyone telling us that we can control the standards that are within the org. So we
Ah,
were
I
willing to
see.
spend more money. Because of that, though, when we let those guys go, we also gave them all 6 months of severance.
Come
We
on.
said it's
That's
not
good.
your fault that our model has changed today versus when you bought into being with us, right?
Hmm.
So we're
Hmm.
the only org that I know that offered 6 months of severance to our salespeople, which
See,
I'm
this
very
is what I'm
proud.
talking about. This is what I'm talking about. It's like, um, it's kind of like the high ticket sales world is still fairly young. Like
Yeah,
it's getting older, but it's still fairly young. And so in a way, it's still like the wild, wild west. Like every man for himself. But there are like genuine ways and genuine people out there who are looking out for the people. And these are things that you can learn if you are a business owner or if you are a salesperson, looking at not just the business itself, the offer, how much money I can make, but look at the character and integrity, the personality of the business owner, right? I love the fact that you are like the poster child for like what is the word, unrestricted generosity,
thank
and
you.
using unrestricted generosity and allow that to kind of come back around full circle. So like we talk about like so kind of continue along the entering and exiting
Enter and the
relationships.
exit, right? So on the opposite side of that, right? On the exit side, right?
Hmm.
On the inner side, right? Treat it like a
Hmm.
job. Treat it
Hmm.
like a job, and it will pay you like a job,
Right,
right? Treat it like a hobby. I'll pay you like a hobby, right?
right, right.
But on the exit side as well, and I can use when we cut the four guys, right?
Hmm.
There was one guy who did not get severance,
Mm.
right? And the reason why he did not get severance is because we fired him a week before we let everyone else go,
I see.
right? The reason we fired him is because I caught him lying to me, right?
Ah,
Um, Basically, we went to an event, we filled up a calendar, and when we filled up a calendar, like none of the leads went to him, but basically he had some type of system set up. I don't know what it was, where part of his calendar, even though it was showing open, was being blocked. So then I shut off everyone's calendar and showed that I couldn't book anything for 45 days. So I don't know how he did it. I think it was through like Calendar Bridge, right?
hmm,
But the point of that
sneaky.
is that's not how you exit, right? The writing
Oh,
was
I
on the
see.
wall. The writing was on the wall that the exit was coming, right?
I see.
So the guys who got the exit were like, yo, like
So
this
he
isn't
knew the
working out
change was
for me.
coming, but he didn't facilitate that properly.
Correct, correct,
Hmm.
right? It's like, hey, guys, I'm going to provide a couple week notice. And guys,
That's
no
terrible.
matter what stage of this game you're at, because the industry that we work in is so volatile,
Hmm.
change will come. Change
Yes,
will come, right? If you not are not a part of facilitating that change, then you're going to have a bad reputation moving to
yep,
your next offer. What you don't realize is that the influencer that you're working with probably is connected to 1,000 other influencers in their
yes.
masterminds and everything else. If
Hmm.
you facilitate the change properly, they're going to say, thank you so much for your help. By the way, let me introduce you to X,
Exactly right. Exactly right. You
right?
don't want to be the guy. You don't want to develop the reputation of like he's good, but he's terrible. He has a terrible attitude. He's not a
Oh,
good person to be around because
if you're
business
working
owners
with a
hire
sales manager like
salespeople,
me who does not believe in sales, right, or sales
sales
talent,
talents,
right? And the worst thing
the
that you could
kiss of
have
death.
is he's good, yeah, yeah, fucking, he's got great salesmanship. That and fucking $5 can buy me a cup of coffee. You know what I mean?
Don't want to give you the
Sorry,
kiss
I'm
of
sure
death.
every sales trainer who listens to this is gonna be like, fucking asshole.
But
Sorry.
see, these are the things that don't people don't talk about because like there's being preeminent as a sales pro is about relationships. Like in order to move out of commoditization, it's not just about your sales skills, it's about who you are as a person. There's you as the person, and then there's you in the role. Both of them have to be excellent.
Yes.
Have to be
Yep.
excellent. Now, you've been through numerous organizations. I think I remember I want to talk about work ethic first, then I'll go into the second thing. You made a post about how you had spent I think it was like 4 months on the road. Was that right? Away from
No, no,
family.
no.
Was that?
So just like most orgs will run ads, primary client acquisition strategies, we sponsor events, right?
Uh-huh.
We will pay. We basically have a calculator. We say how many people are in the audience. We'd be willing to spend this amount of dollars to go
Hmm.
and speak in front of your audience, right?
Okay.
Last month it
Hmm.
was a 9 event push last month. So I've been on the road since I've been here for 18 months, right? On the road 22 days out of the last 40 days, which is where that number four probably came from.
Okay. Like, what is your philosophy on work? Like, because obviously, you have a new baby now, right? New dad.
Yeah.
Kudos to you, man. That was a long road.
Yeah.
Married, and but you're also great at your job. So how do you manage and put these together? Like, how do you think about work and family and all these types of things together?
Oh
Like, how do
man,
you
dude.
work that out?
Um, Realistically, dude, I probably over favor work,
Okay.
right?
Is there a reason
For
behind
me,
that?
I don't know. Good question. Don't make me cry.
Because like sometimes when I talk to people who have like a work ethic like that, it's usually a product of training, like household training, like their parents had a really strong value of work, or there's somebody they admire has a really strong ethic of work. Is there something like that with you, or is it just like,
Yeah, I would say so, dude. And like I said, don't make me cry about it. But yeah, this is something that I was exploring with my wife probably a month or two ago, right?
mm-hmm,
Growing up, the values that I was always taught, right,
mm-hmm.
were to be the best. That was always one,
Mm.
right?
Could you play
Um,
football and stuff, right?
I did. Yep, yep. I
Yeah.
played D1 football at Florida State, right? To be the
Mm-hmm.
best, that hard work can overcome everything else, right?
Mm. Comes around
Um,
again. There you go.
yeah. Um, and and persistency, right?
Mm.
Those
Tenacity.
were the three things that I was taught, right?
Mm-hmm.
So as I'm starting to raise my daughter, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to give her some different values than what I was, and I'm not saying anything was wrong with those values that I was brought
Okay.
up with, right? I want to give her the values of, uh, you know, everything is okay.
Mm.
You know, love what you do, right?
Mm.
But do it the best to your ability. You know what
So
I
still
mean?
be excellent, but
Still
choose.
be excellent, but pursue, be excellent at whatever it is that you want to be excellent at. You know what I mean? And the rest of
Free to
it
choose and be
will
excellent.
take care of itself. I'm so far work just because everything that I've ever gotten in my life is from work, right? Whether we're talking about sales,
Mm-hmm.
dude, I was, in football, I was
Mm-hmm.
a 6 foot, 6 foot, 194 pound linebacker who ran people would ask me my 40 time. I would tell them it was a forever, right? Right. And I played at Florida State where the average guy was 6'3", 6'4". Everyone at Florida State that I played linebacker with went to the pros, right?
Mm.
Everybody. I was the
Wow.
oddball out, right? And I
Wow.
wasn't even close. I wasn't even close. You know
Come
what I
on,
mean?
man.
There
Come
was
on,
such a
man.
talent discrepancy between the guys that I played with, right? But the
Mm-hmm.
way that I made it was I used to run from my dorm room
Mm-hmm.
to the football office every single day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I would say, "Hey, are you guys accepting walk-ons?" They'd say, "Not now, kid. We've got too much that we're working on.
I see.
Come back at another date." Right? And I
Mm-hmm.
came back every single day for a semester. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then one day I got a phone call, and the phone call was from a coach who's still coaching there. His name is Odell Higgins,
Mm-hmm.
and he said, "Hey, kid, your name is Jonathan Reed. I've heard that you've shown up every day this semester. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Show up tomorrow at the field at 8 a.m. with your
Mm-hmm.
cleats." There was no tryout. There was no, hey, I'm the best football player, so I made the team. It was just a matter of tenacity and work ethic, and that's followed me in my work life. Whether it's for benefit or for fault, I can't turn off, dude. I can't.
I think there's something to be said about that. Because I've seen your wife's pictures and things like that, and you guys always seem like you guys are having a blast. You guys love each other. So like, it's just like a implied understanding about work, or is this a communicated effort? Because there are people out there who have loved ones, they have moms and dads and husbands and wives, and they want to hit this work ethic of being able to put more out into the world, but they're not sure how to, I guess, like navigate that in a relationship. Like, do you have any ideas on that or thoughts on that?
I need, I need to balance it better, dude. When we get into arguments behind the scenes, right? It's because I'm working too much. You know what I mean?
I
And
see.
I'm not creating enough time. And
I see.
I would love to tell you, like, I'm just being honest with you, right? I would love to
Mm,
tell you, like, everything's sunshine and rainbows behind the scene, right? But where we get into arguments, it's because I'm working too much. You know what I mean?
mm. But it's the
So
core of
do
your
we love
makeup,
each
though,
other?
right?
Do we love each other? Absolutely.
Oh
Yeah, we
yeah.
love each other. Yeah, she's my best friend, man. She's the funniest person in the world. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Um, is- she's amazing. She's a great mother, right? But my downfall as a husband is that I do work a ton, right? But that
Hmm.
being said, she knew what she was getting into because I've always
Yeah.
been this way, right?
Exactly.
Through college, I was this way. And also what I keep telling her is my exit, right? I don't want to be in sales forever, dude. Right?
Exactly.
This has an end game on it. My end goal is to go back and coach high school football. You know,
What?
coaching high school football, you're not gonna make money, dude. You only make 10 grand a year doing that, right?
Man, that is
So I
awesome.
know that I need to get my net worth to about 2.5 mil, right?
Okay. Okay.
Once I get my net worth to 2.5 mil, you won't see me having another sales conversation again.
How many years we got left?
I would love to do it by the end of 26, dude.
Oh man. I want to let you go out the sales industry, man, in 26, bro.
By the end of 26, right? But
You're
if anyone's, how I got to that number, right?
I'm about to
There's
move
a
close to
rule in
something like that.
finance called the 4% rule,
Hmm.
right? Where the 4% rule, if your money is invested in the market and you're getting a 7% return, right? You
Hmm.
could live off of 4% and still get a positive return, right? So two and a
Mm.
half mil is your $100,000 per year in a network
Ah, I see.
to
I
where
see.
you can go do whatever, you
I
know?
see. I see. I want to talk about mindset and mentality. Like you spoke about attitude a bit earlier.
Yeah.
And attitude is just the persistent mindset you have over time, right? So like what do you have like a morning routine? Do you have like certain things that you do to keep yourself in a state where you're able to pursue this act of work long periods of time? Like what is like walk me through that.
Ask me the question one more time. Is
Right.
it the morning routine? Is it?
Right. So there are two things, I guess. So the first
Yep.
thing is like the overarching question is like being able to work long periods of time at such a high level, such a high level is just not a physical thing. It's obviously a mindset and attitude kind of thing. So like what are things that you do on a daily basis to foster your sense of drive, your sense of hustle, your sense of success, your sense of excellence?
Yeah, man. It goes back to my athletic background,
Mm-hmm.
right? The guys that I look up to are typically outside of the business arena, right?
Mm-hmm.
Guys like Ray Lewis is my favorite in the world, right?
Come on,
And
man.
there's YouTube videos of Ray Lewis, right, where he's
Mm-hmm.
just talking about I'm a machine, like I don't get tired, right? I try and live by that, man. You know what I mean? Guys like Deion Sanders, right? He has a new
Oh
book
yeah,
that came
Coach
out.
D.
I'm gonna go pick that up, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of athletes that I follow, a lot of movies like Gladiator, right? Um,
Okay.
Gladiator, one of the best quotes in that movie is it goes hand in hand with what we're saying, right?
Mm.
Win the crowd and you'll win your freedom.
That's the one with Russell Crowe, right?
With the one with Russell Crowe. Yeah.
Okay. I
Win
was
the
like,
crowd
is
and
Arnold
you'll win
Schwarzenegger
your
in that one?
freedom.
I think that's
That's
Barbarian with Schwarzenegger.
yeah, yeah.
Barbarian, I think it's or Conan, one of the two. It's been a whole lot of muscle
Gladiator with
movies.
Russell Crowe. Win the crowd and win your freedom, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Powerful,
as
powerful
far as
point.
the morning routine and everything, dude, I hate to say this, right? But like, I'm just not into the woo woo and stuff. Like, I don't
Come
do any
on.
of it. You know what I mean? Like,
Come on.
I just don't do it. I don't have it. Right now, that said,
Mm.
Pierre, because of how much I've been working recently, my health has gotten out of whack. The
Okay.
things I like to do, I like to power lift, right? And again, it's another
Okay.
outlet, right? I like to be the strongest son of a bitch in a room. You know what I mean?
Mm. Yeah.
And last year I got diagnosed with diabetes and I went from 250 to 190 in a matter of 5 months, right? And
Wow.
the way I did it was I started biking 300 miles a month and I
Mm.
went on uh, um, a diet of 1,000 calories a day,
Mm.
right? It's like just very extreme stuff. I put on some weight again because I haven't been doing that, you know?
Mm.
But I'm either one extreme or the other, where I'm doing it all or I'm doing nothing.
Mm. I wanna kind of shift and because I'm talking about the sales. I've been talking a lot about the sales rep side on this, and I want to kind of shift the perspective from the perspective of the business owner, right? So, like, what is your philosophy on? Cause I saw a post you did about how you guys are not a recruitment company, you guys are a personal development company with the mask of a recruitment company. So, like, what is your thoughts on hiring and firing? Like, how do you guys manage that?
Yeah, good question, man. I'll talk in regards to salespeople, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I asked a room full of people who wants the best salesperson in the room, everybody raises their hand. You know what I mean? But again, if I don't believe in sales talent, you can remove yourself from that equation, right?
Mm,
Then it comes down to a matter of is this person a culture fit? If they're a culture fit, are they going to put forth the labor? Because again,
mm,
when I'm referring to alpha, right, I'm
mm,
referring to the benefit that I get of bringing someone on, right?
mm.
I believe that alpha comes from labor, so I want to find the hardest workers in the room.
Is there a way
Okay,
you figure that out on the interview, or is this like something you see like in your onboarding process, or how you figure that
something
out?
that you see during the onboarding process,
Okay.
right? So I hire fast, right?
Mm-hmm.
I I I don't care about someone's sales background. I don't care about somebody's disc assessment. I don't care about the shit that everybody else cares about, right?
Mm-hmm.
I make
Mm-hmm.
a decision fast because it's about moving the machine forward, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if they're not the right fit, I'll see it in their activity very quickly and I'll fire them and
Ah.
get them out. Okay. We hired a gal on Monday
Mm,
and she showed up late to her first meeting. We fired her before the end of day Monday. Right. So hire fast and fire faster so that we
mm,
can keep the machine moving. Right.
mm.
Um, I believe that your process that you have somebody in, once you have a developed process, you know that the process will be effective. Then it's just a matter of filling the seat.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Mm.
The reason why sales business owners need the best sales talent is because they don't have a defined process.
Ah,
Okay.
that's
So,
good. Talk about that, man. That's
so
good.
you ready for this? Once the
Yeah.
process is defined, let me give you let me give you a quick formula.
Okay.
You ready?
Formula time.
This is gonna be nerdy as shit. This is gonna make me sound a lot smarter than I am. Hang on. So I believe, you ready for this? We'll
Yes.
write it down.
Yes.
By the way, if you
Hmm.
guys are already using Lucid Chart, I recommend everyone use Lucid Chart and work 90% of my day in Lucid Chart. Hence, here I am
Okay.
selling the product, right? No. Um, so I believe here's the equation for salespeople.
Hmm.
Um, optimized marketing funnel
Hmm.
plus sufficient sales talent.
Hmm. So proportion to the lead flow and volume, right?
Yep, yep, equals Y conversion.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
Optimized marketing funnel plus optimized sales talent
Hmm.
with everything that we've been talking about. You ready?
Hmm. Hmm.
Would equal what here?
Massive output.
No, no. Remember, we don't believe in sales talent.
So what would it be?
Y conversion. It's the
Oh,
same. It's the same,
that was
right?
one of the trick questions on the
It's
podcast.
the same, right? So, you ready?
Hmm.
So, optimize marketing funnel
Hmm.
plus sufficient sales talent,
Hmm. Will still
right?
come out to Y conversion.
Plus, ready?
Hmm.
Labor equals oh, Y conversion. Ready?
Hmm.
Y conversion plus. Okay.
Mm, I see.
Okay.
Mm,
So if that's true, right? The way that I measure my sales team every month, and I guarantee you,
mm,
if you look at your marketing funnel or if you look at your sales funnel like this, right?
mm,
And look, business owners always say, why did my salesperson have such a big fall off, right? They went from
mm,
converting 30% to 15% month over month, right? It's not a
mm,
large enough data set, right?
mm,
You look at your team of 5 salespeople,
mm.
right? They will all be converting within a standard deviation of each other.
I see. I
Okay.
see. I see.
Within with 1 unit up or down of each other. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody's higher, where is it coming from?
Mm.
Where's it coming from?
It's coming from there. It's coming from their labor, right?
Nice. Bingo. So if somebody's outside of that standard deviation, you can go back and look at their activity and find that their activity is producing the output, not their salesmanship.
Mm. That's good. That's good, man. That's good.
Cool.
So with that being said, so we see how offer owners should be selecting salespeople. How do salespeople choose great offers? Because obviously you have to have a good place to grow, right?
Obviously, you have to have what? I apologize.
A good place to grow. Like if you're going to be
Yeah.
starting out this process, this journey to becoming preeminent, you have to have a good place to grow. So like
Yeah.
after being in like so many different industries and on the coaching and recruiting and staffing side, what are like some of the key characteristics of really, really great business owners in your mind?
Man, good question. Um, as a salesperson, right? Especially
Yes.
someone who's starting, go somewhere. Go somewhere that you know that's already working, that you know that you're not proving it out, right?
Mm,
A lot of small business owners who are starting are paying a premium to get you in to go and work their funnel, a perceived premium, right?
mm.
50% of zero is still zero, right?
Exactly right.
So don't waste your time trying to build something else out, especially as a new salesperson where you don't have the ability to prove something out. If you think that you can prove it out, don't. You don't get the experience, right?
Exactly.
So go somewhere that you know is working, right?
Yeah.
It's highly likely that that place that's working is outside of the online sales arena. It might be Cutco. You know that that works. It's been around since 1960.
Hmm.
It
Hmm.
might be timeshare like I was. That's a multi-billion-dollar industry.
So stable fixed industries.
Huh?
Mm,
That might bring your career to Wall Street, which is you have trillion-dollar companies like BlackRock to work for.
hmm.
Now you've got the experience to go in and provide some knowledge, provide some alpha that you can do to turn some smaller projects around, right? Um, but if you go the opposite way, if you start off on something that's too small that doesn't have proof of concept yet, you could beat yourself into the ground and start thinking, the sales thing isn't for me.
Mm.
You
The
know what I mean?
I remember I forgot who it was that talked about it. They were talking about where some of the best salespeople come from. And one of them was from the network marketing space. The other one was from fitness, and I think the other one was from real estate. I think those were the big
Yeah.
three.
I would
Because
also
they have,
venture to say that some really bad salespeople come from all three of those industries
yeah.
as well. You know what I'm saying? There's no specific like, oh, all the good salespeople hang out here. No, there's fucking good sales process and there's bad sales process. Sorry,
Exactly
sorry.
right. Exactly right. Exactly
I
right.
don't believe it.
The reason why I think he mentioned it was because each one of those industries was a business within a business. Like you had to be able to have an ownership mentality. And I think that marries very, very well with what you're talking about in this space. So if one thing I would say is like look for the traits, the characteristics of ownership mentality within the reps you're bringing on, like whatever businesses that they were in prior, right?
Yeah,
Did
yeah.
they solve problems before, right? Let me
If
see.
your offer owner is trying to juggle multiple projects, it's a really
Mm,
bad sign. A really bad sign. Just like a
mm,
sales rep, right? If your
mm.
sales rep's trying to gaslight whoever they're working with or moonlight whoever they're working with, right? And trying to work on multiple offers, it's a really bad sign.
Why do you say that?
Because of what we're talking about, right? It's
Uh-huh.
like there's not enough what's the right word then? There's not enough willpower to stay in the adversity, right? And they're trying to find the quick win, right?
Okay,
If it's not there, then leave it. Then leave
I
it,
see.
right?
Instead of kind of holding on to it,
Go and work. So if you want multiple streams of income, don't make it in the same in the same
vain.
in the same vertical, right?
Mm, I see what you're saying.
Right? Like we just talked about, right? Sales, commission from sales, selling affiliate that's not affected,
I see what you're saying.
right?
So like, so there are two kind of things there. Um, the two schools of thought in the online sales world. One of them is multiple offers, which is one thing. But then in your mind, that's not the best way to go. The best way to go would be find opportunities outside the vertical you're in, outside the selling that you're doing. It's like
Think about this.
affiliates, joint ventures, etc.
We were talking about real estate, right? Imagine you're a
Right.
real estate agent and you're selling under Keller Williams and EXP and you're selling the same house. Like,
Mm.
what a conflict of interest that is.
Very true.
You know what I
Very
mean?
true. Very true.
Right? So don't create conflicts of interest. If you're selling, if you're making commission from real estate and then you have rental properties, that's not an issue.
Do you know who Michael Adams is? What was that? Is that
Oh
you?
yeah, yeah. Did he try and jump in? He's an intern that I have right now. I'll message him
Okay.
later. You can deny him. I thought we were
Okay.
going to be live, so I told him to jump in. Dude, really cool. One of my clients reached out to me and said, "Hey, would you provide an internship for my son?"
Mm.
That's it. That's him.
Nice. Let me it sounds like you got to get ready to go, man. And I don't want to hold you up too much longer, man. But I'm
Yeah.
having such a great time. So many things to learn from you. I'm about to do a part two. That's the long and short. I'm about to do a part two. Um,
Always down to hang out with Pierre, man. Anytime that I get with Pierre is worthwhile, dude.
let me ask you, let me do this. Like, do you have like any parting words of advice or words of wisdom you like to share?
Yeah. Well, one that I'm trying to steer away from myself, but work harder,
Or
right?
comment?
Work harder, right? Uh, Business owners always think, speaking to the sales reps, always think that inside sales teams are tough to build, right? If you
Mm-hmm.
look at my inside sales team so far this year, they've generated another 80 deals,
Mm,
right? 80 deals so far this year, right?
mm,
They have 14,000 outbound dials,
mm,
right? And they have 80,000 outbound emails.
mm,
The reason why it's not the reason why you're not seeing fruits from your labor is because you're not working hard enough,
mm,
right? If you're in a setter role, you're like, oh, I made fucking 30 dials today. Keep those numbers in mind.
mm. I see. I
You know
see.
what I mean?
If you could give encouragement to an up and coming preeminent pro, sales pro, what would you tell them?
It gets better. It gets better each step of the way, right? Um, the the sales role is never where I wanted the game to finish.
Mm,
You know what I mean? So I've been in a setting role. It was hard as shit. I
mm-hmm,
became closer, right? I made good money from closing, right? I also worked two jobs, right? While I was in closing roles, like we're talking about, I was at Regis and I was a closer, right? So
mm-hmm,
two completely different worlds, like we're talking about, right?
mm-hmm.
Um, it was hard doing both. It was very
Wow.
hard. I did that for years, right?
Wow.
The sales director role was the first time when my income was shifted enough to where I didn't have to work two gigs,
Mm,
right?
mm.
So it gets better now as my brand as a sales director is evolving. I can also spend more time on calls like these, and my systems are intact to where I don't have to go in and micromanage my team. If somebody missed a call right now, I would get an alert, and one of my inside salespeople would be on the
We'll work it
call.
out. Right. And I think that's something that a lot of individual sales professionals don't do. Like they don't have systems in place. Like you need the system just as much as your business does, as your business owner does. You need your own kind of system to kind of work it. And I'm about to
Yeah,
talk about that the next time. Like I would love to kind of get into like, productivity hacks with you. Like, I think that there's I think another thing too is just like a lot of sales processes and methodologies are perceived to be brand new, but they're kind of like a rehash or regurgitation of the same thing. So I would love to kind of see like what are some of the standard things in terms of sales methodology and selling skill that you see across multiple industries. And also like the next time we talk about um what are some of the what are some of your favorite characteristics or achievements that you've seen in some of the salespeople that you've seen over the years, right? 'Cause I know
yeah,
you had mentioned, I forgot the guy's name. I have to remember saying it for the next time. But man, thank you so much for being here,
yeah.
man.
Of course, man. Thanks for having me. This was fun, dude. Yeah, if you need anything, as always, dude, let me know. You're a homeboy who's been with me since day one in this industry,
Day
man.
one, know what I'm
Day
saying?
one,
Day
baby.
one, bro.
There aren't too many of the dinosaurs out here who've been in it for years. So play the long game so you can be like Pierre Gooch, okay?
Hey man, how can people find you? How can people work with you, bro?
Look me up on Facebook, guys. Moose Reed. That's the best way, place to find me. If you
Mhm.
need virtual assistants, let me know. If you guys don't need virtual assistants, let me know. Reach out. Let's create a relationship, right? Let me know how I can help you. Maybe it's on your sales journey. That's cool. Any way that I can help, I'm happy to do so.
All right, well, that's all the time we have for today, guys. Remember, preeminence scales exponentially, while mediocrity only scales incrementally. So you get to choose whether you want to be incrementally successful or exponentially successful. I look forward to talking to you guys again soon. Bye bye.